Hi, I'm Roger Dannenberg, and I'd like to tell you about Canons for Conlon, a piece that I wrote for live performance over the internet by separated musicians in this time of pandemic. I've done a lot of work with network music in the past, and one of the things we always deal with is the time delay of transmitting sound over the network and the resulting problems with synchronization. And so in this piece, the whole point is to become unsynchronized. And I do that in a very controlled way, having three performers play exactly the same music, but each one plays a different tempo. They start together. One of them plays faster, one of them plays slower, one remains constant. And so by the middle of the piece, they're separated in time and playing contrapuntally. And then the fast player slows down, the slow player speeds up, the other player remains constant, and finally, at the end of the piece, they reunite perfectly in unison. And this is very complicated to work out musically and really to imagine what's going to happen. So I wrote some special software that, for example, tells me if the flute is playing this note at this time, the same note will appear later in the clarinet at this time and here in the bassoon, somewhere in the middle of the piece. And this is also very difficult for performers who have to follow these very accurate tempo trajectories and actually end up at exactly the same time after 3 minutes. And so I wrote some polytempo metronomes that synchronize themselves and produce click tracks for the musicians so that they can follow that and accurately diverge and then converge back for the end of the piece.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the fourth and final day of the CMU Contemporary Ensemble's online New Music Festival. My name is Daniel Curtis. I'm the director of the CMU Contemporary Ensemble. To those of you who have joined us for all 4 days of this week, congratulations. Thank you so much for supporting new music in this new unusual format. Today we finish things off with two fascinating new works composed expressly for live collaboration on Zoom. At 4:30 today we'll perform Jesse Stiles' Pulse Grid 1, featuring 9 musicians performing on electronic and acoustic instruments. But first today we have Canons for Conlon by Roger Dannenberg. You just heard Roger describe the web-based click track system he created for this piece, which guides the 3 woodwind players through a series of tempo canons. Many of you heard a version of this click track system used yesterday for Nancy Galbraith's Virtual Moonlight. I want to tell you just briefly, from my personal perspective, about the first time we used this click track system in rehearsal with the 3 woodwinds. Working on live collaboration on Zoom over the past 3 weeks, I found that one must basically give up on anything specifically lining up. And many of the composers in this festival beautifully embrace this idea, embracing the latency and creating works that unfold without a strict sense of tempo, allowing the musicians to collaborate freely, but without strictly aligning their parts in any specific way. And so it was with that mindset that I went into these initial rehearsals on Roger's trio, And the first time we used the click track system, my mind was blown when the three woodwind players came in exactly together on Zoom. It felt like a kind of small miracle in the midst of this new work and exploration we had been doing on Zoom. This thing that I felt I had convinced myself was impossible in this platform suddenly became very possible thanks to Roger's invention. And so I hope you find such delight as I do in the small miracle of three players beginning and ending these canons together. During the performance, I want to invite you to add your comments and questions into YouTube's live chat, and all the performers and Roger will join the conversation as soon as the performance is finished. So now, without further ado, here are the musicians premiering trios for Conlon. This is Leah Stevens, Alicia Gutierrez, and Nick Evans. Bravo! That was the live premiere performance of Canons for Conlon by composer Roger Dannenberg. Roger joins me now here in the Zoom chat. Roger, congratulations. Thank you so much for creating this piece, which has challenged us all to open our minds to new ways of collaborating here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, and Alicia, Leah, Nick, thanks so much for playing. It was really wonderful that we could work together, even though we're physically pretty far apart right now.
Absolutely. So to all of you listening, I hope you will stick around or come back in just about 45 minutes. At 4:30, the final performance of our online new music festival, Pulse Grid 1 by Jesse Stiles. Keep the conversation going on YouTube's chat, and we will join you there in just a moment.